Today we are talking about the near ecosystem. We have Alex Shevchenko, CEO of Aurora. We have Xerox Dawn, the core developer from Trisolaris. We have Bowen, co-founder of Proximity Labs. And we have Didier Pironi, product manager at Rive Finance. So welcome to the CoinGecko 18 meetup. Very happy to be hosting the four of you today. So before we start, I just want to say thanks to KuCoin for sponsoring our meetup. Sign up now for KuCoin account and get and claim a $500 trading bonus, as well as get numerous discounts and gifts exclusive for our attendees. Before we start, maybe I'll give a chance to all four of you to maybe introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what your company do and your roles in the company. Maybe let's start with Alex.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Shevchenko. As Bobby told you, I'm the CEO of the company named Aurora Labs. What we are doing, we are developing the protocol that is named Aurora. This protocol is the protocol that is extending Ethereum's economy to the near blockchain. Our product is having multiple constituents, but in general, the idea is to allow Ethereum developers to launch their smart contracts on a more performant blockchain, near, and give them an ability to connect to this blockchain also using all of the existing tools that are already developed in the Ethereum ecosystem. So you can launch your contracts without any changes. You can connect all your tools, including wallets, development software, and so on. And moreover, you are able to have some interaction between Ethereum and Aurora, and in general near, through the generic Rainbow bridge, over which you are able to send your assets, fungible tokens, and also you can extend it with any, arbitrarily calls and messages. So it's Aurora Lab who is behind all of this tech, and I'm the CEO of this company. Happy to be here.
Xerox Dawn, you want to go next?
Great to be here. Thanks for organizing again. So as Alex was saying, Aurora is a great place to be building, and we're building. When we were one of the first applications on Aurora, we were called Trisolaris. We're a decentralized exchange. We're running on the Aurora EVM engine. We were one of the first DEXs on Aurora, and currently been growing pretty quickly. We're kind of a pretty small team still, but thrilled with how this community has been growing so far, and one of the top places now to get exposure to the near ecosystem and the growing Aurora ecosystem as well. So a plethora of different tokens are being traded on our DEX right now. I personally work on all the different aspects of the DEX, including development and community and other areas as well. So thrilled to be here. Thanks again for organizing.
Didier, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks a lot, Bobby, for the opportunity. I'm very excited to be here. So my name is Didier. I'm the product manager of Rive Finance, which is the first automated market maker built on top of Near. And and we are the one-stop DeFi shop on Near. So very excited to be here again.
Primary reason for building on Aurora was the ability to build using a familiar stack, a development stack with the EVM, kind of engine that's running on top of Near. And then we also got to leverage the underlying infrastructure that is the Near blockchain, right, with scalability and to be kind of future-proof in a sense, where we kind of took a long-term bet on this ecosystem. We believe it's going to continue to grow and continue to accommodate scale.
What Xerox Dawn was saying. So, well, first of all, thanks for the kind words. In general, for Aurora, I believe our goal, our mission is to give an ability for Ethereum ecosystem to grow, right, and to host many more users. Right, I'm saying I'm talking right now not about millions. I'm talking about hundreds of millions of new people, right? And in order to provide familiar experience to these people, or to provide the same experience and utilize everything that is already developed for Ethereum ecosystem, it was because of the sharding technology that is tested and that is working in production, right? And this is near. So for us, it was a very straightforward thing to be building on top of near blockchain. And so if I would spend the additional 15 seconds, why it is important for us, Aurora is not a separate chain, right? It is not a separate network. Aurora is just a smart contract, and EVM is launched as a smart contract on top of Near's virtual machine. So that's why it was super important for us to be able to work on top of the blockchain that is able to grow. Right, that was our main idea, and that is the reason why we are working on top of Near blockchain.
So this is very specific to Rev. Rev's goal is to be a one-stop DeFi shop on Near. So I'm curious to hear, like, what does a one-stop DeFi shop look like in your mind or in Rev Finance mind?
Yeah, of course. Well, first, when we have a look at, one-stop shop is defined as a business where multiple services are offered, right? So in the context of Near and Refinance, that means serving different use cases. So for example, if you want to speculate, on the first play to earn token within Near, then you might go to Ref and swap Near for this specific token, for example. Another example is, let's say you are, a company, and then you have you get funded by USDT, but you need to pay an invoice in DAI, for example. You're going to use our stable swap feature to do that. And if you are a degen farmer, you want to hype into different projects and then farm those tokens, then you might use our farming platforms.
Near announced $800 million ecosystem grant. So that's like a massive ecosystem grant. Is Proximity Labs sort of responsible for the distribution of this entire $800 million, or is that a portion of it, or how does it really work?
Oh, yeah, great question. So out of the 800 million, proportionally, we are responsible for the 350 million out of the 800 million that we mainly focus on. So one of our core responsibilities of at Proximity is to allocate these amount of DeFi grants effectively to projects that we think will build a sustainable DeFi ecosystem with us. And to allocate this fund to help these projects to bootstrap early liquidities and build early market attentions and build early market awareness. And we're definitely quite early in the DeFi game, and we think by allocating this funds more effectively and more productively to this various DeFi components, and make sure the core DeFi components on Near and Aurora are handled by quality projects, and we not only deliver the services to the market, but the services actually meet the market demands, and for us to able to serve the users that we wanted to serve, and to serve the underserved DeFi users in the market, and to serve more retail users, then we will fulfill our mission of like at least a step closer to create this whole DeFi industry sector.
Actually, I've got a question for Aurora, and this is something that I find quite unique, interesting, I suppose. So Aurora uses ETH as its native, as its token to pay for gas. I think there was no gas for a while, but I remember bridging ETH over to Aurora, and I thought without thinking like, how am I going to pay for gas? And then eventually because I had ETH, so I got lucky. ETH was used to pay gas. So I'm curious, why do you guys choose to use ETH instead of the Aurora token or maybe Near token, for example, to pay for transaction fees?
Yeah, there are two main reasons why we are doing this, or like two considerations. First of all, I can tell that currently in the market, if you will take a look at the prices that people are paying in their transaction fees and the actual value of the tokens which are used for this, these two things are are of a different orders of magnitude, right? So you can again take a look at some protocols that have very popular tokens right now, like from the top 10. Many of them actually have extremely low transaction fees, right? Which means that there is the correlation of the value of the ecosystem and the fees that are paid in this ecosystem. It is not there, right? So it is not the fees, so it's not the transaction fees that brings the value to the ecosystem. So this is the first thing, right? Second thing is that in case you're using a custom token, it means that the users of the ecosystem, they need to get this token from somewhere. And even for the first transaction, they need to, do something. They need to go to the exchange. They need to buy the token, move it to somewhere. And in case the exchange is not supporting your network, then it means that they need to move it to Ethereum, bridge the token. It's super complicated process, right? And not everybody will be able to get to the exchanges that are listing this token, right? And again, so with Near and Aurora, these are not that popular assets at the moment. Obviously, Near is much more popular than Aurora token, but it is just an additional hurdle to the user. And an additional consideration here is that hey, just take a look at what the developers need to do with their applications. They need to potentially update their smart contracts in case they have any special cases for ETH and wrapped Ethereum, because now the application would not have, in case the base token is not ETH, the application would not have this base ETH, right? It's going to have only wrapped ETH. Then the front-end developers also need to update some kind of price feeds and stuff like that, right? So in case you're using the API to get the base token price, and you're calculating the cost of the transaction or something like that, well, you also need to get it from somewhere, right? And in case the token is not listed, then there might be some manipulations happening because of the not that big liquidity and all this stuff. So you need to change your software for the developers. And unfortunately, changing the software also means that, you need to maintain it. So you need to figure out in the future, in case you have an update, that you need to deploy one update to Ethereum network, the other update to Aurora network, and so on, right? It gives a fair bit of complexity, right? Our goal was always give back credits to the Ethereum and maximize the user experience and the developer experience with Aurora. So we decided that having ETH as a base token, as a token in which the transaction fees are paid, is a natural solution. And ecosystem is not going to lose anything out of this solution, first of all, and second, it will be just simplifying the interaction with Aurora for everyone.
Thanks a lot, Alex, for the explanation. Pretty interesting design decision for you guys to use for this. There seem to be some issues with gas, as well as liquidation issues. Do you know much, or do you have anything to share on that front?
Yeah, I know everything, obviously, about all of these things. So for a fair bit of time, Aurora was working with a zero gas fees. What it means is that since Aurora is a smart contract on top of Near blockchain, the actual fees on the level of the Near protocol are paid in Near tokens, right? But then Aurora's RPC is proposing the user to pay particular gas price to the Aurora RPC. So, in fact, what is happening with this ETH as a base token, it is that the user pays ETH to the RPC while RPC is paying near to the protocol. So this second payment obviously was happening always, and it's happening right now, right? However, the first payment, it was just our RPC configured to return zero gas price to everyone, right? That was happening, and that was the intention. Because again, as I said to you, as a first kind of idea around the gas fees is that the gas fees are, they are not changing anything, right, at the moment. And moreover, many Web2 companies are working without per transaction tariffication of some kind of actions, right? Everyone are able to create free Gmail account, free Facebook account, free Twitter account, right? And somehow these companies are pretty big ones, and they're working, and everything is good, right? It's not about the fees, right? In general, like general consideration that many businesses are not based on top of the forcing a user to pay per each action that the user is performing, right? So the gas fees were zero. And Aurora Labs was sponsoring all of these transactions, and everything was good until the moment in time when some viral applications were coming in, and these applications, unfortunately, were not having a good design from the standpoint of the blockchain, right? And it means that the actions that were committed to the blockchain as transactions were extremely small. So it means that the ordinary user needed to send, like 20 actions per minute or something like that. So it means that the design of the application is not very good for the blockchain. And the reasonable answer from the blockchain to these kind of applications, to these kind of situations, is that the gas price goes up. In Aurora, the gas price is determined by the RPC, and the gas price was just risen to the level of the near fees that the RPC is paying. And after this, when the transactions became actually costing the same value that is paid to the near protocol, everything stabilized, and everything is working now back pretty good. Now, with regards to what is the amount of the fees, right? What is the price? So the gas price in Aurora is right now set at the level of 0.03 GVE, right? So it's quite small. And to give you an order of magnitude and how to understand what does it 0.03 GVE mean, it means that the ordinary Uniswap style swap is going to cost less than 1 cent. $1 cent, right? So that's the level. That's the thing. In general, just a concluding remark here on the gas and the base token, we truly believe that the era of a per transaction tariffication and the era of this low level gas user experience, extremely bad user experience, is coming to an end, and new solutions are going to appear that are going to fix it, make it convenient to the users, and make it simple for people to interact with the blockchain. We're moving in this direction, and we really believe that this is one of the key missing pieces in the blockchain industry in general, that is not allowing it to grow to tens and hundreds of millions of users.
I've got a question for Trisolaris and Rev Finance, right? So this is on DeFi yield farming. So yields on DeFi protocols, they tend to decrease over time. And I'm curious to hear from you. So like at the start, like when you guys launch, so it's like the high yields, the high APY that attracts the yield farmers and all to come in and participate in providing liquidity, but over time, as more people find out about it and the yields kind of get compressed and decrease. I'm curious to hear, like, what do you guys think? Do you think this is kind of a problem in the long term? What do you guys think about achieving sustainability in the long run?
Yeah, happy to start. I think one of the biggest things with any kind of yield farming program is eventually the underlying base protocol and its earnings have to catch up. And in the case of a decentralized exchange like Trisolaris or even like Ref, the earnings are largely a result of transaction trading fees. And currently at Trisolaris, one of the functions of trading fees is to buy back a portion of the Tri token from the market and then distribute it to stakers. And ultimately, the goal of this entire feedback loop is for the DEX itself and the ecosystem, the underlying Aurora ecosystem and all the tokens that are trading on it to grow to such an extent that we eventually have enough protocol revenue and trading volumes to kind of sustainably sustain this ecosystem. So, Tri is continually being bought back. We kind of reach a point of equilibrium. At the same time, it's important to see that, this is a growing ecosystem at this point. There's so many projects launching in Aurora. So we feel like there's plenty of growth to still be had in terms of where the ceiling is in terms of growth for this ecosystem. So we're just looking forward to far more trading volumes and new projects as well launching, including things building on top of Trisolaris. So structured products, fractionalized NFTs and NFT marketplaces and other such products that'll drive new streams of revenue potential for the protocol, which will again kind of make this whole system more sustainable.
A quick comment, by the way, there are more than 80 protocols that are already launched on top of Aurora in several months. And the number grows exponentially.
That's a lot. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. And again, I believe the key piece here is that people do not need to change anything, and developers just can deploy, and it just works, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Like from a user experience point of view, it's just really easy to also kind of use. I mean, I haven't really used the protocols on the near ecosystem directly, but like the EVM on Aurora chain is pretty simple.
That's the key, right? So same wallets, same experience, same apps.
Didier, do you want to add on to the earlier question?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think first, when you have a look at incentives, across traditional industries, this is not something new, right? So in Europe, challenger banks, they've used quite aggressive incentives at the beginning. In the gambling industry, we know those cash referral or cash bonus kind of stuff. I think in DeFi, incentives, they are here to bootstrap the protocol to bring liquidity, but it has never been designed to keep capital. And so I think that's actually there are two things, right, for the future. I think we need to increase the liquidity utilization, which is basically the volume out of the TVL, and the more this liquidity utilization is, the more effective it is, the more LPs are making money on a sustainable, predictable revenue.
That's the project that we'll see coming up in the next few months. I don't know if you can share, but it would be interesting to hear if there's any interesting projects coming up.
Bowen, do you want to start?
Yeah. You can start if you want. Okay, I go. Sorry. Yeah, so there's a couple of interesting projects coming up. So namely be let's only name two, right? So besides the already quality projects in the near and Aurora ecosystem that we have today, like Rare Finance and the Trisolaris, and there is I think on the lending side on Aurora, that we see Origami and Bastion. They're building decent community traction. I think based on the conversation that we have with them today, they seem decent and are particularly interested in Origami's approach of building their niche market and creating product differentiation, not just as a compound style money market, but actually with a different token economics and with an angle of going to fixed interest rate swap supply market. That is one. And on the near native side, there are a couple of interesting ones as well. There's Burrow.cash, a lending market that is native to Near. It's a compound style money market as well, but with very interesting token economics. Basically, the concept is the longer you lock up your tokens, the higher rewards they get. And there are also product differentiation in the pipeline. And some interesting market it serves is it actually aims to serve some interest rate bearing assets for yield stacking on the lending market. So as it will launch in early March, it will support ST-Near, which is a liquid staking Near that has staking reward bearing token. That'll be interesting. So by the time you deposit and collateralize your assets and supply your assets to Burrow, you're not only collecting yield on an interest rate on Burrow, but you also collect passive income from the staking rewards. And besides that, there are a couple of like professional trading teams building decent trading products on Near. And one of them I do want to highlight is Orderly. Orderly is supposed to be a derivative order book style DEX. And it can basically, like, to simplify the concept, you can basically see them as the serum of Near. Mm-hmm. And I believe their product concept and the product delivery and their product operation experience should be higher than serum standard when they go to market.
I would like to add one additional project to this list. This is not an Aurora project, or this is not the project that is working on top of Aurora. But being the tech guy, I cannot mention it. This project is named Machina. And the idea of this project is, to build something like an RV on top of the Near stack. So
very interesting.
Yeah. So the idea is, it is not new, right? It will be good to have a storage solution that is based on top of blockchain. And it appears that Near is obviously a pretty nice candidate to use as a basis because it already has sharding inside of it, right? And literally Machina project this is the project that was born by Aurora team, Near team, and also the team of the project Happy. And we have been discussing this idea for quite a lot of the time. And now the project is starting to get traction, get developers. So everything is in the development right now. However, I believe pretty soon there will be quite a lot of news about it. Looking forward to it, especially in the light of the fact that since Machina is going to have the same consensus mechanism that Near, I'm looking forward to merging Machina blockchain with Near blockchain in the future, which would allow smart contracts to get information from the storage directly on chain. And from my point of view, this is very straightforward, and this is actually quite similar to what is happening in our computers at the moment, right? So once again about the things that I'm talking about, right? There will be executional shards on Near where smart contracts are located and the smart contracts are executed. And then there will be data shards on Near, which are, Machina shards. And in these shards, the data is only stored. There is no execution there, right? And why, from my point of view, this is crucial, and this is actually actually is going to work like if the same as ordinary computer programs are operating in our laptops right now. It is just because we have a separation of the memory. There is one memory that is called DRAM, right? And this is the RAM, like usually it's like 16 gigabytes of RAM right now in modern laptops. And this is a fast memory. So this will be the smart contract memory. This will be the memory for the execution. It is expensive. While we also have hard drives, and on hard drives, we are able to store, terabytes of data, and hard drives are cheap. And such hard drives will be Machina shards. And access to this memory is much slower, but in terms of the storage, they are much, much cheaper. And we need to have a separate device for it, right? So in terms of the Near blockchain, this will be a separate data shard. So I'm looking forward to Machina to be implemented, and then this merge to occur. It will be really, really cool. And I believe it's super in line with how the computers are developed these days.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting to have a data storage layer on Near protocol as well. Is this already live, or that's sort of coming?
No, it's just coming, right? So the development is happening as we speak. The dedicated team is working on it. Mm-hmm. So I was just showing that
nice.
there is something that is happening there. They have Twitter account. They are posting some. They're only starting. This is just the beginning of the journey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you also make it seem like there is not so much difference from all the other EVM compatible chains. Like people can kind of move from one chain to the other chains. What do you think will be the reason or strong reason for people to come in and stay in the Near ecosystem?
Oh, that's a nice question. So obviously, in terms of the thing that matters for developers, like lots of things are interconnected here, right? So for developers, it is super important to have a simple, very straightforward developer experience. And it means that, you need to have a straight EVM with no changes. And it will be even good, like it will be even better in case the base token is the same token. So the devs do not need to change anything. So this is one thing. However, it is not enough, right? In order for the developers also to be interested in the ecosystem, in case these are the DeFi developers, then they need to have TVL there, and but the TVL is connected to the users, so like there needs to be some kind of growth happening of the ecosystem. Now, for the users, the ecosystem will be interesting. Again, in case there are lots of opportunities for them to get something out of the ecosystem. It might be a unique collection of NFTs. It might be some kind of specific gaming applications, or it might be just high yield farms, right? However, in order to get this from the ecosystem, they need to have developers, right? So again, developers who develop the solution. So there is some kind of interconnection in between these two things. However, I can tell that both of these sides need to grow in order to stimulate the other sides, right? So things are interconnected. However, from my point of view, the important pieces that are there in Aurora Near ecosystem is, first of all, scalability. Because no other blockchain is capable of providing sharded experience with ability to add shards and with ability to grow horizontally and scale blockchain horizontally right now in production, right? So there are lots of initiatives, there are lots of movement around it, but Near is the only blockchain that is working like that. So this is one thing. And second thing, I believe, again, as I said earlier, we are moving in the direction of simplifying the blockchain, simplifying the things. And if you will even take a look at Aurora right now, no Aurora user experiences the use of Near blockchain. Nobody sees it. Because it's like, MetaMask connect to some kind of network. Some people are asking me, can we run Aurora validator? And I sending them the link to the Near repo. And they said, this is Near, but we need to have Aurora validator, right? And I'm saying there is no Aurora validator, right? And So I can say that we are, very, very obsessed with the idea of simplifying blockchain user experience. And hopefully we would be able to get to the point when this user experience is so seamless and so good that, people would be just able, to confirm their transactions with the Touch ID and Face ID, and then everything will be straightforward. And then the mass market will be able to come to the blockchain. While this tech can be reused by other blockchains, it is Near blockchain who is going to win this battle, or at least I believe that Near is going to win this battle, just because Near is capable of horizontal scaling, right? So you need to have these two pieces in order for mass market to come to the blockchain. You need to have scale, or you need to be able to scale, and you need to simplify the hell out of the user experience. Take a look at iPhones. How many buttons are there in the iPhones and in any other smartphone, right? This is the simplification of user experience. This is what mass market, what mass market needs. And we really, doing bad job as an industry in terms of the user experience. So we need to move in this direction fast, or we are going to die as dinosaurs.
Actually, you brought up an interesting point. I always thought that crypto is just too complex for people to use. But it's definitely simplified a lot. I remember having to run a Bitcoin QT wallet and then downloading the entire chain, and it was almost impossible on a computer. It's impossible these days, but things have definitely improved with web wallets and also. But it's actually still really hard to, download MetaMask or your key safely and use it all. I think it's still it's a user experience that is pretty rough for a lot of people. But what actually surprised me is that how there are so many people that actually went through all these hurdles just to go and trade on DEXs, provide liquidity, buy NFTs on OpenSea, for example, all these things. It actually really surprised me that I think MetaMask is pretty hard to set up and use for the average guy, but people actually go through all these tough steps and hurdles to do it. So yeah, that's kind of interesting observation. And one of the observations I always made was I always thought that no one's going to trade on DEXs because centralized exchanges are so much easier. But what we're observing right now is people are very comfortable trading on DEXs, and that's kind of a good thing, I suppose. But yeah, there's a lot more work to do on that front as well.
Absolutely, Bobby. And though you're saying there are lots of people who actually did it, in Ethereum right now, there are something 250 million addresses that are used. And taking into account that people are usually use multiple addresses, and then there are also smart contracts and some kind of other random stuff out there. So I do not think that, we have lots of people in blockchain, 10 million, maybe 20 million, something like that.
Yep.
But
it's probably an overestimation. I think. I don't think that's 10 million, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe even less. So we are 1/1000th of the population of the Earth, while the smartphone is in the hands of 7 people out of 10 or something like that.
I don't know if anyone wants to add Didier, 0x or Bowen to the conversation that we have. I other questions if you want to. Yeah.
No, I do agree with you guys. I think it's still very early. And I was actually a few weeks ago, I set up a Near wallet for my wife. And, we tried a few stuff. I took her to Paras, which is, our native NFT marketplace. And then we look at NFTs and, we bought an NFT. And then she told me, wow, this is so slow. And speaking of Near, and wow, and from a product perspective, even if it's sharding, even if it's Near, the speed is very slow, compared to, Web 2 and what we are used to with centralized driven services. So from a product perspective, I totally agree that we need to do more and try to hide the blockchain. So I definitely agree with Alex on that point.
What else do you think we in the crypto industry we need to do for us to have mainstream adoption? So we kind of mentioned like we need to simplify the UI UX. It's got to be really easy for people, kind of like an iPhone. But what else do you think needs to occur for it to have mainstream adoption?
So from my point of view, again, I'm the guy who likes to give the comparisons. So from my point of view, blockchain is now sitting in the 1990s when people were paying per second of their calls, right? This is what we are actually doing. We are paying per transaction, per one bit of information, right? Something like that. This is what we are doing right now. And back then, yes, mobile phones were expensive. They were not mass market, and people were like average Joe was not holding a smartphone in his hand. And the thing that actually what we observe right now is that the way how people are paying for their mobile phones and mobile data is absolutely different, and it is a packages, right? So we buy a month of the access to the mobile. And obviously there are some kind of limitations in there, like you're limited up to 10 gigabytes mobile data and then the speed drops or something like that. But in general, mobile companies figured out how to sell to people packages or like subscriptions to the mobile access. And I believe this is something that is extremely crucial for the mass adoption. So we need to figure out how to give an ability for people to have a subscription to the blockchain, though there are problems connected with this, right? There are problems of the gas price, unpredictable or like hardly predictable and all of the stuff. Somebody needs to take all of the risks into account. But this is the thing that people are missing. We need to have subscription models. We need people not to think about every simple transaction and not to create lots of blame in Twitter because of the gas prices going up or going down. Right? I believe this is a crucial piece.
Yeah, but I also think that what we call composability. So how much you can do within the blockchain is very important, because it's a very good indicator of how much freedom you have, right? And I think that this is also a problem we need to solve, because although everyone is criticizing, the US dollar, if you are in the desert alone and get lost for any reason and you have $1 on you, this is that dollar has a lot of value compared to any cryptocurrency, for example. So how much freedom can you buy with a token, or how much things you can do within a blockchain? And I think that what we need to have a look at is, velocity of money within a blockchain, at which rate the money is going from one hand to another is a very good indicator of, utility of that blockchain. And I think that's what we need. Like, okay, you can transfer ownership. So we solved the double spending problem, but now you can earn money on top of your ownership. That's something else. You can also, you can also have an identity and so on. So the more applications we have, the more powerful the environment becomes. It's like a network effect, obviously. So I think this is very important for us, this composability across all applications for, adoption, mainstream adoption, just to give people more freedom at the end. Yeah.
Xerox Don or Bowen, do you just want to add on to that?
Yeah, happy to add. I had a similar experience with trying to onboard a friend to Trisolaris. It's just like bridge assets to here, buy from here, and then use the Rainbow Bridge, and then deposit into a farm, right? And you need 2 tokens to deposit into a farm. And then there's like natural follow-up questions, like where's the yield coming from? How am I getting this much percentage, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many steps on the onboarding journey, let alone actually getting funds in MetaMask or Coinbase wallet or, another solution like a self-custody wallet, that I think there's just a lot more work to be done, even at the initial stages, with just abstracting away the complexity. Like the 10 million number that was cited, 10 to 20 million, there's probably like less than 100K actual like hardcore degens, across mainnet and all the L1 chains in our estimation. So like who actually know all these steps, have done it multiple times, have bridged to multiple chains and are actively using it, right? So if we really want to expand this scale dramatically, I think abstracting away some of the complexity, maybe offering simple yield experiences for users is an easy way to, really start to onboard a lot more people.
Yeah, I think that's probably somewhere along the line of wallet providers. There could be like one click to onboard onto some of this use to abstract away some of this complexity. I think I knew I was onboarding some friend to another L1 chain as well, and then the question was, how do we get fiat into one of these chain? And then it's just hard, like credit cards on one of the centralized exchanges and then bridge them. It's just, and a lot of the bridges work on Ethereum as the main chain, and then getting anything on Ethereum will just cost a bomb like $40 per transaction. That's like a lot of money by itself. And Alex, I think your suggestion on subscription sounds really interesting. Immediately at the start, it came to my mind a little bit of what. I mean, I know this meetup is sponsored by KuCoin, but like FTX is doing something similar to some extent. So you kind of stake the FTT token and then you get free withdrawals on Ethereum, like 3 free withdrawals per day. So basically let's FTX pays for the gas fee. So in a sense, like people are sort of using it as like a bank account, like the exchange is sort of absorbing the fee, especially on Ethereum, it is expensive. So that sounds interesting. Yeah, from my point of view.
Yeah, there are some projects that are working in this direction. I can mention Infura ITX, right? This is more for the developers kind of thing. But in general, this is the solution that minimizes the fees that developers are paying because it is not nature, like it is not required for the developers to send transactions that needs to be executed right here, right now, like traders, right? So from that point of view, they are able to work a little bit with the gas fees. But in some cases, wait a little bit. In other cases, speed things up. Yeah. So there are lots of initiatives in this direction. I believe we need to have some kind of very robust and straightforward and super simple solution for people to understand. And what I can tell that Aurora Labs is also working on such a solution. So follow all of the updates. Pretty soon you're going to be amazed about how tech can simplify people's life.
Yeah. Bowen, any last words on that before we probably running up on the hour for the meetup today?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I think one of the purposes that everyone that's here is working on, like to get together for video conferencing and building decent product and building iterations of products and going offline to attend East Denver and coordinating conferences such as East Denver is for like education purposes, right? And education is critical, is super critical to this space that's to build this awareness and to let the users know it's not super scary to use to create a wallet on blockchain, and there are actually benefits coming with that. And as users to get along with their get used to the whole journey of how you can interact in a part of the blockchain ecosystem, then it will just be a step closer for us to have more users and have more retails and have more use cases to build on top of that.
All right. Thank you very much, Bowen. Thank you very much. I think that's probably all the questions that we have for the meetup today. Again, I just want to apologize to 4 of you and everyone who's listening in. We had massive technical difficulties today, so I'm not even sure. Like there's a lot of video and audio issues. So sorry once again if you're listening in and had issues. But thank you very much, Alex, Didier, 0x Dawn, and Bowen for taking your hour up and spending the time with me and explaining what the near Aurora ecosystem is taking place and all the developments happening. I definitely find really interesting that there's so much interesting developments happening in this space.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
This podcast is provided as part of the overall information on cryptocurrency contained on our website, is for your general information only, and does not howsoever constitute any endorsement, financial or investment advice, nor any solicitation or offer of securities or other financial instruments. CoinGecko and the podcast presenter makes no warranties, implied or express, of any kind in relation to this podcast, including, without limitation, the accuracy and updatedness of its content. All opinions and recommendations there in the podcast are based on the personal opinion of the presenter. Please conduct your own research and procure professional advice should you, at your own risk, decide to howsoever invest or trade in relation to the content contained in the podcast.